Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and it's time for this past week's The Gaga on Drinks and Drag, including the latest conversation blowing up the drag universe. Is Dragula better than Drag Race? We have the top 5 reasons why. Plus, what happens next following the rumors of cancellation of Watch What Happens Live over at Bravo? Well, the fans have spoken with the petition, and this could be the end of an era in reality television? The panel thinks so. Let the reading session begin.
My thing is, this has to be scripted, because if this was a real thing, this would be a huge HR case with the way you'd be speaking to your staff. But going back to the topic in hand, but this rumor has been going on for years, since the very first time I've ever seen Watch Happens Live, which was like, what, 5 years ago? Before I even see the show, I've heard this to be rumored. What's crazy is, even Kathy Griffin has said it a few years ago and was like, this show keeps getting picked up and is not doing well, and he's so unprofessional, or everything that we've said about him, and on top of that, offers drugs to his guests that shows on, and is at times rude and very cut short with it. So my thing is like, how new is this? At this point, we need to know, is it going to be canceled at the end of the year, or is it still going to run? So I feel like if it's still going to run, we're going to hear this rumor pop up again next year.
Well, yeah, I've heard the rumors that he is he's a fan of the old booger sugar, but
And speaking of drama, we also have the news on a Real Housewife star accused of racism again. All of this and more on an all-new episode of Drinks and Drag. With the resident Papi Chulo, Remy. Come get your face beat by the one and only drag beauty queen, Lindsay Aguilera. And the one and only troublemaker himself, Kris Avalon. So grab a drink and come on in, because the lounge is open 24/7.
yes, she is. The lounge is always open, as they say. Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Drinks and Drag, where it's a 3-panel show where a bunch of us just get together. We talk about the latest pop culture news, and we talk about things that's going on within the LGBTQ community and reality TV, all that good stuff. So, I won't keep y'all waiting for long. We got my two fellow panelists. Let's bring in the one and only Miss Lindsay Aguilera and the one and only Remy. So a twofer. Yeah, follow me down there, by the way, if y'all just now seeing my Instagram for the first time. Where's everybody?
Hi, we are back again.
Feels so good to be back.
Mm-hmm. Feels like it was just yesterday.
I know, right? It just feels like yesterday.
Every time I hear that intro, I'm picturing like myself coming down with like a housewife, like a peach, or like a diamond or something, like an intro.
That's your
title, like NeNe,
officially.
Or like NeNe with her little show. Remember when she was doing all of that?
When I hit my confessionals, it has to say my age in the corner, and then it says Resident Papi Chulo underneath.
No ages. But we're ageless, we'll just say that. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff to get into. This episode particularly, we're going to be talking a lot about Drag Race, and I also want to talk about this thing that's been going on, Drag Race versus Dragula. I had this interesting conversation that sparked from me watching this recent episode of Dragula. We'll get into that in a second, and then we're also going to talk about Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman and what he was going through. He revealed about his experience on Drag Race Canada. The new season is currently airing on Wow Presents Plus, so this is the perfect time to bring this conversation up. Also, we're going to talk about Housewives. We're going to give a recap of Beverly Hills. We're going to talk about the rumors that Andy, there's a petition out there that they want Andy off Watch What Happens Live, and to put somebody else up in there, they feel like he's a little biased towards them Housewives. We'll see if you guys agree on that. And then we're going to talk about Phaedra, whether or not she's going to come back to the Housewives or why she's not coming back, because that's basically what the conversation entailed. And Kenya Moore's talking about her experience on Ultimate Girls Trip dealing with problematic Ramona and her Ramona Coastal. And yeah, so we're going to get into all that. But first, there was this thing that came up earlier this week. The Boulay brothers put out a Instagram post where they were going and basically just talking to the fans on like respect the queens that's on the show. A lot of them put their blood, sweat, and tears into doing the show. So just respect, what's going on. You don't need to call them, tweet them, bully them, and all other stuff on social media. Not call them, which I ain't got their number. Although there was a situation I did hear that Britta Filter's mother got harassed at one point. I did hear that. And then there was a story that came out that was interesting. Pop Dust says why Dragula is better than RuPaul's Drag Race. 5 reasons why you should be watching a horror-based drag reality show. Well, honey, I have Shudder. Well, one, because I'm a horror movie fan, and the show is pretty good. It is a breath of fresh air from that. So if you haven't seen the show, we'll get into the 5 reasons of what they said in a minute. But yeah, so I was watching it, and the Boulay brothers had said this. I don't know if we have the thing, but I'll read it from my phone, and it just brought me back to this. So they basically went and said, "Hello, uglies. Now that we've kicked off a new season of the show, we want to remind everyone that we understand competitions like this inspire passion in its fans. While we love the engagement, we do ask that you please not direct negativity towards the stars of the show as the adventure continues. They were brave enough to share the good, the bad, and the ugly sides of themselves during an incredibly stressful experience, in quotes, all for our entertainment, unquote. So please treat them with kindness. Queer artists face enough adversity in life as it is, and nobody deserves to get hate and negativity cast at them because of a reality competition show. The show has an arc, things develop, the journey continues, situations evolve, and it's a fun ride. Thanks for watching." Now they said that. Meanwhile, what RuPaul's response is blaming on some goddamn edit with that horrible ass song. So my question is, and I love the Boulay Brothers, by the way. My
Love
question
them.
is it the responsibility of the creators of the show? So we have RuPaul with RuPaul's Drag Race and the Boulay Brothers with Dragula to come out and basically speak to the fans and say, you know what, we get that you're passionate. However, your passion is getting ridiculous to the point where y'all want to threaten to kill people because you don't like the narrative of how they're turning out on these reality shows, as they said, for our entertainment. So who wants to go first on this?
Well, being that like I just actually watched this before we filmed the most recent episode, so I saw like everything that happened. I feel like they shouldn't have to say it. Like I get that it's causing passionate fans to like go crazy with their responses, but like people should also keep their opinions to themselves because not a lot of things need to be said. If you feel like you need to voice it, you can voice it, but I feel like you shouldn't be tagging or like directing it towards the people who are filming a show for your entertainment. Back to what I said, like when we did our last show, if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. It's as simple as that. And I feel like I feel like the hosts don't need to say it, but if they don't say it, then it's another issue. Like, oh, they're not standing up for the people that they cast and X, Y, and Z. And it just becomes another issue.
I hear you. Well, before anything though, they need to stop calling me ugly. That's not what they're gonna do. But
That's
no,
their
I'm just kidding.
brand.
It's a
But
term of
no, that's so
endearment.
funny. No, it's funny.
Hello, uglies.
No.
I love it though.
It takes me 3 hours to get this gorgeous. Don't call me ugly. No, I'm kidding. No. I definitely hear what you're saying. I'm on the total opposite end of the spectrum when it comes to that because I totally agree that it is their responsibility to advocate and say what exactly they had to say, and I feel like RuPaul should do the same thing, and any other TV shows for that matter, because it is their work and it's their brand and it's something that they're putting together and they're responsible for putting this up. This is the same exact way when we put up our own Instagram stories and our Snapchat stories and how we choose to create our narrative. We're still censoring ourselves. There are certain things that we will not showcase. You understand what I'm saying? And there's some things that maybe can be offensive to someone else. And it is our job to be like, I hear what you're saying. Like, we shouldn't have to cater to everyone and be like, okay, well, if you don't like it, unfollow me or don't hear this. That's
like I
true
very much
in
have that mindset. Like if you don't like it, you don't have to follow.
Yeah, that's true in that aspect. But you should still put that, like the parental advisory. You should, just like when someone's about to send you something that's inappropriate, they do the hashtag not suitable for office or for work or whatever. You know what I mean? Or how TV puts on a TV show like TV 14, mature or MA after a certain time. I do feel, I'm not saying uh, the Roulet brothers or anyone from any show should hound people's doors down and be like, hey, you have to stop doing this to people. But at least give it that warning. It does help a lot, because we have to remember there's a lot of people who are fanatics. There's difference between fans and fanatics, and
Mhm.
these fanatics will go extra hard and threaten your lives for it, and that's dangerous too. You have to remember that's so dangerous, where somebody's calling somebody's mom, or they're banging on their door, and they choose to be on a reality TV show to win this, but not to get tortured or be threatened, or God forbid something
I hear
happens,
you.
getting their house broken into.
I hear you, but to also add to that point, this is a show that's centered around a lot of people who fit into the LGBTQIA spectrum, whether it's a cisgendered gay male, whether it's a assigned female at birth, a female. Like
Hmm.
this is what the show is entitling. I don't feel like if someone should be coming onto this show and then making homophobic, transphobic slurs, because this is what you're signing up to watch for. So I don't feel like you making these comments is helpful in any way,
No, it's
because
not helpful.
this is what you came to watch.
Yeah, it's not helpful, but it's not. This is also what they were saying, from what I understood from the Billy Brothers, is not just homophobic comments. It's like these fans who are like, we sit down and watch a TV show. We have our favorite queens and we have the bottom queens. You know what I mean? And some people treat the bottom queens like they are dirt. I'm not a fan of this queen, so I hate you, queen, and you shouldn't be top three, and you shouldn't have won, and I hate you so much. I'm gonna snatch your wig, and I'm gonna see you in the streets. So it's a little more beyond just like a homophobic comment. It's despiting
Well, it
someone for
stems from
being in a
that.
position they shouldn't be. Yeah, it's true, but it doesn't hurt to be like, listen, I'm responsible for a show, and this is what I'm carrying. God forbid something happens to them. You don't want to feel bad. You're not fully responsible, but
Mhm.
giving out the words and just giving a heads up, I think, makes a difference. Will it cure it? Probably not, but at least it shows that they are behind the talent, and that's what's important.
Exactly, because their whole aesthetic of the show is it's not about like what RuPaul and them does, which is they hold you accountable for everything that happens throughout the season. Oh, we're just gonna bring up every little thing you've done in the season is gonna be held and accountable of you in the end, on whether or not we think that you are the next drag superstar. Whereas what I love about Dragula is that they wipe the slate clean in every episode. That we're only gonna judge you based on this situation in this moment in your performance, because drag is an art form and art is subjective, which I actually like, instead of them being like, well, your makeup is this and your clothes are this. And but what if that's their aesthetic? What if they're a messy queen? So they're more or less about everything's got to be perfect and polished because this is the aesthetic that's for that show, and that's great. But I feel like what the Boulay brothers were talking about was the overall bullying of people who get online and they troll you based on your behavior on the episode. So, for instance, when we had Mary and we had Zavaleta always picking on, finding a moment to pick on Sigourney. And Sigourney
Right.
is the AFAB queen of the season. So one of the things that I love about this show is that they champion diversity, whereas RuPaul and them are jumping on the bandwagon because they were, dragged for not including trans people, including AFAB queens, including non-binary queens. So the Boulay brothers have been at the forefront of that before RuPaul even decided to add them to that. And I think that's what it is the fact that based on people's behavior on the show is why a lot of them are getting dragged for stuff, which is why if you notice, and I would love to interview her to pick her brain about this, Jay Jolie, she was the only queen on this season that has been on Drag Race and has been on Dragula. So the experience of why they're like, well, she's holding back and she's not showing the ugly side of herself is because she went on Drag Race being herself, letting, she the back rolls thing infamous. Um, so she's done all these different things, and having to deal with the hate and the vitriol from the Drag Race fans. It's like, well, I don't know what I'm going to step into now. I want to get back into drag and having to deal with a lot of my other demons of drinking and stuff, which she talks about. Now, how do I navigate through the Dragula world? And like you see a lot of the Drag Race girls do it. They're editing themselves because they don't want to get that backlash. They don't want to get dragged on Twitter and all these other social media platforms because we're just doing a show. We're in a moment of, you know, I'm not dealing. I can't take this queen, or you're being, you're playing mind games, or you're doing all these different things, and people are reacting based on what they see, and they're getting so caught up in the show that it's like, okay, now I need to go on Twitter and let this person know how I feel because you're being a meanie. So it's sort of like that's the overall attitude. My thing is, I watch the shows, I'm entertained by it, but I don't take it in my time and my energy to just go on social media to bully or to say mean things to someone because um, of how they portrayed on a TV show. It's a TV show at the end of the day. I'm entertained by it. That's how I look at it.
Agreed.
Well, I feel like when I watch the show, I look at it from a perspective that it is a reality TV show. And like, I know that the drama is maybe produced. I know that some of the feelings may be fueled. So I personally wouldn't see like, oh, I'm going to go on Twitter and tag this person and let them know how I feel about them because of how they acted on TV. I recognize that I'm watching a show and it's for my entertainment. So I'm entertained. I get why they feel some type of way, the way that the show is going. But I'm like, for entertainment purposes, I'm here for the drama. Shoot. give me more.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what we were trying to get at before. That's the difference between a fan and a fanatic. We know the difference, and we're here for that, and not just Dragula, RuPaul. That's any reality TV show that we love and watch, and anything that has an ensemble cast and whatnot. It's like, we love our villains, we love the good people, we love the in-betweeners. We live for it. But the three of us only are nowhere near the millions of other people that watch it, and they don't see it like us, who are not fans. They're super fanatic, and that's again the message of why they're doing it. And I can see why you don't think it's necessary for them to have to say that, but that's because you, Kris, and myself are okay. We understand the assignment, we understand the show, and we know what we're watching, and we know why we're watching it.
Right.
But again, it's those fanatics that go really, really hard, and it would be terrible to see any of them mentally get beat down or physically get beat down because of the fanatics.
I'm not saying that they shouldn't. I'm just saying that they shouldn't have to. But being that the situation arose to whatever it is, and like it's starting to escalate, it's like the fact that they did, like you said, they're backing their cast and backing their team. I get it, but I feel like they shouldn't have to get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I wanted to bring up, and I think and I get you, and I think it's important is, like a lot of people don't like to blame it on the edit, and yeah, you
I don't like the
portray
song.
yourself a certain type of way. No, just the song itself, it's fine, but there are shows like RuPaul who pushes people to feed the drama because they need that type of drama, because people like us love the adrenaline. And it's like, yeah, you can somewhat blame the edit because you're being forced. If you want to send the show, you have to do certain tasks, you have to do certain things, just like if it was a housewife show or like the Real Mob Wives or the Jersey Shores. If someone's mad at someone, a producer's going to put you in a room to speak to them and be like, yo, speak up, say something, bring the drama. The situation is real, but sometimes the tactics, it's forced.
I've seen people speak out about that.
Yeah, and again, this goes back to another reason why they would say it. These other shows would write that off. Unfortunately, RuPaul Drag Race is one of them. They live off that drama, but they created it. They make their talents do it, and it's like once it airs, like, okay, but don't blame us. This is you, and this is what was recorded. Yeah, and word in the system. Yeah, you did it. You are recorded, but behind the scenes, you were forced, manipulated, tricked to do that object. I know Roxy Andrews recently have said this herself. She was talking behind the scenes of her when she was in her season with Jinx, and where she came off saying how she threw shade to Jinx when Jinx asked her, what was the question? What was your favorite part of the show so far? And when Roxy responded to her, was like, oh, when you was in the bottom two. But she went off and said, hey, the producers made me do it. They caught me at a corner, like, listen, we need some drama. We're still filming. You have to say something to this girl. Someone's gonna ask you something. And of course, they probably went up to Jinx too and said, hey, ask a question and start off with Roxy first. And Roxy has to come in and make this snide comment because that's what's expected of her. If she wants to stay on the show, you gotta play the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And with that being said, is yes, you gotta, with face value, you have to accept the consequences of what happens to you after. But RuPaul could have also been like, we instigated it. You guys live for the drama. This is what we gave you. See how much better it would be to show that you're supporting and you're protecting your talent.
That's a producer's job. It's like when I don't know. I don't think people. Well, I don't know if people think like that's how they do reality TV. With let's just sit him in a room and just let him talk. Like you have to produce situations. So you're gonna get a situation. Okay, so now on this day, I need you to go over there and talk to her, and this is the conversation. This is the thing you need to bring up, and then see how she reacts and responds to the situation. That's usually how they do with these reality shows. And so, like, if you watch a Real Housewives of Atlanta, oh, well, so-and-so had an issue the night before and Kenya was being problematic. So now I need you. So I need Candy and Porsha to have this conversation and talk about what happened last night. So that's basically how they produce these shows. That's how you get the drama. But we do have that clip, by the way, of Roxy on Roscoe's, which is like the infamous show where all the drag queens go on. They talk about Drag Race and all that stuff, where she talked about her experience on Drag Race and the producing of Drag Race. Roll that clip.
The final episode of 5, when I told Jinx that when she was in the bottom 2 was my favorite moment. Let me set up the scene for you, okay? We are stressed the fuck out. I had just filmed that courtroom scene thing that I knew I had bombed it. And so they were just like, ladies, we're still filming a TV show. I know you guys are stressed out. You don't want to talk, but we're still filming a TV show. You need to talk. And they kept telling me they want drama, they want drama, they want drama. So I went to go pee, and I come back, and before I walk into the workroom, sometimes they'll stop us, and they'll say, hey, can you go talk to so-and-so about this or whatever? And they were like, they stopped me, and I had it, bitch. And she was like, girl, Roxy, I know I can count on you. And I'm like, okay, bitch, I did bad in the courtroom, so let me get some brownie points with this bitch. She wants some drama, Mish. And so, hey, Mish. So, she was like, girl, we need drama. And I was like, okay, bitch. So I walk into the work. I'm going to give it to you, bitch. Give me a second. So I walk into the workroom, and poor little Jinx, she's just like blow drying her hair or something. She's like, she goes, Roxy, what's your favorite moment? And see, I couldn't think of nothing. The first thing that came out of my mouth, like, bitch, when you were in the bottom.
You was on the bottom, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, it's like that. They want the drama, and then they give the drama, and then the fans say, "Oh, here she go bullying and picking on people." And you got to come up with stuff. These shows aren't, well, for the most part, they're not scripted. So, what else you gonna do? But I don't know. I guess my next question would be like, I mean, should the format of reality TV change, or should these shows like Drag Race take responsibility for the drama they create, such as former Drag Race judge Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman has now broken his silence, and while we got the side of the queens participating on the show and dealing with the overall drama of the fans, now you have someone who worked on the show who is saying that he had to deal with a lot of behind the scenes stuff from production. He was saying in the beginning that scheduling conflicts was the reason for his departure, but he says in an interview with the Hollywood Reporter that was posted months ago, this is back in September, but since we're talking about drag queens and things, it's still fresh, and Canada's Drag Race is currently airing on Wow Presents Plus. He basically said that he took the job after a positive experience on RuPaul's Drag Race in the U.S., but the independent production in Canada had their own ideas, saying, I came into Canada's Drag Race with a false sense of security because I had built the trust with the producers of the American show. But this was a different set of producers, and I think they were trying to create something impactful and prove themselves along the way. As so, there are many incidences where, looking back, I should have paid attention to my intuition and spoken up, and I didn't. He also pointed out several early moments that made him uncomfortable, such as when a white gay male showrunner pulled him aside right before he was to meet the queens for the first time and told him that I am the man candy that was there for the queens to drool over. They're saying all the judges had signed these very ironclad contracts stating that we would not fraternize with any of the contestants or the crew offset, which meant that we would have no personal relationships or dialogue or contact with the queens whatsoever, and also said that the queens was flirting with him and being subjective in some ways, and his walls went up immediately. He realized there were different expectations being put on him and not being placed on the rest of the cast, and nobody was going to protect him. He also said he was told to play the role of the sassy judge. There were microaggressions that he experienced from the from production, saying that it's like what is said of black women and black queer men, meaning that you're the hot-headed, opinionated one who's going to tell it like it is and not give a shit about what anyone has to say, and that's not who he is. Which is why a lot of times when we were watching the show, people said that he was coming off like a cross between RuPaul and Law Roach over at Legendary. So, he was playing up the whole sassy queen thing, and he was being told what to say in his ear. So he's saying all this. And so, I mean, it was a lot from when I read the article. And it's like, okay, so at what point do you take responsibility for your participation in the antics? Or is he in a situation like Roxy, where it's like, okay, so you have this job, you want to impress, so you're going to play the game because you're getting a check, like Roxy and a lot of the girls are. The longer you stay on the show, the more you get paid, or you continue to get paid. So yeah. What say you, Lindsay?
I see here. I don't really see the same for when it comes to contestants and a judge in a panel. The things that he said, this is something I've heard in other competition shows. A lot of judges like fraternization. Do you remember like a couple of years ago where there was this big no where there was this rumor that when Paula was doing American Idol, she was doing something with one of the contestants? Do you remember this story? And it was a really big deal, and then people were outraged because they're like, oh, that's playing favoritism. You're a judge. It turned out that it wasn't true, but it made it seemed like the stories that were being told, and I think the contestant said it. I don't know how that story really went, but I remember it being such a big deal. And my thing is, everything he has said, that's part of a job description for anybody, whether it's a host, a judge, a panel of stuff. Like, you really can't put in your 2 cents to with the cast or people who are competing, because that would be considered favoritism. You know what I mean? Or injecting
Which is
them
why I think
to
RuPaul
win.
tends to keep very, like, she doesn't engage with the queens as much, and people get upset. And I've seen the queens say this in the past, like, well, she doesn't really like engage with us. I said, well, she can't, because then people are going to look at it as you're being biased, you're playing favorites, like Andy Cohen with the Housewives, which we're going to get into later on in the show. But there's that sense of, okay, so now you're working for me, we're doing a show together. I can't show favoritism with a lot of these people. And yeah, so I'm guessing that's where there was coming from with that. But yeah, he was called all sorts of stupid N words, and there was no black crew members that worked on the show. So he was just talking about, like, I don't know. Oh, quiet as it's kept, I'm not even feeling this season of Candace. These girls be acting too damn fake for me. They always happy and jolly. I'm like, oh God.
Can I tell you that that's one
I
thing
don't
I
like
was thinking
Brad
about this.
Goreski. He irritates me. But what you gonna
That's
say? I'm
one thing
sorry.
that that was one thing I was thinking about this season, is that compare it to season one, even with like the little things like the sound effects, it was more like, okay, this is the first season, we're gonna be fierce, this is a competition, like this, that, and the third. With this season, even the sound effects are all bubbly and like everybody's all bright and happy and jolly. It's like they're trying to make it a complete 180 from what the last season was. And I don't know if it has to do with anything that has to do like with this whole Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman drama, and like the fact that people weren't engaging with him they weren't featuring him as a judge, and they were like, okay, well, we're gonna like redeem the show and revamp it. I don't know if that's the tactic that they were going for, but I do feel like this season is very like too cheery and overproduced. I could say.
I think there may be something to that because of all of these accusations that came out from his from the story he did with the Hollywood Reporter, there may be a lot of that to it. But then, to me, it doesn't feel authentic. And I feel like that people aren't going to tune in. I'm curious to find out how the ratings are. I haven't really been online reading what the people are saying, but I do know from friends of mine who are watching the show, they're talking about that they've checked out because the show is boring. Like literally, I will tell you, I fell asleep twice on the first 2 episodes. So
It's
that's
6
telling
or
you
7
something.
episodes in, and I'm just now starting to get like maybe 1 or 2 of their names. Like I can put the name to the face.
Ooh,
That's another thing
terrible.
too. Like it's like I can't even remember who the queens are on the show, and I think is it to do with this show that we have become so oversaturated with Drag Race, because if you go on Wild Presents Plus, I didn't even finish UK and already they dropped Canada. And UK season 3 is way better, by the way. But and so it's like there's this snowball effect. Then they just released Italy. So we got Drag Race Italy, and then they got Drag Race France. They're casting for that. So it's this snowball effect of so many Drag Race shows. So I'm wondering, is like, have we become so oversaturated with the franchise that it's like we can't even remember who these queens are, or is it that the Canadian queens on this season just aren't standing out for any of us that you just said you just now are getting 2 of their names?
Yeah, I feel like they're dropping them too quick on top of each other. Like they're waiting like 2 weeks before one of them is over to drop the new one. Like UK is about to finish, but it doesn't finish till next week, and Italy already started today. And like you said, we also have Canada going on. That's already like halfway through. So like, what is it? Once Canada's done, we're gonna start up the popping for season 14, or like for some other type of international season, to have that going while we have the other 2 that are going. And once the next one's about to finish, they'll drop the next one. I feel like that's what like they need to space it out a bit.
I wonder too if it's maybe just a programming thing for us, because don't forget, a lot of times with any reality TV show, especially in Europe, they always get it like a year later or a few years later. You know what I mean? They're still behind the times. Like some of the shows that are airing now, they're just like, I forgot what show it was, and I want to, going back to the Housewives, I want to say it's one of the Housewives franchises. I posted something on TikTok. The clip, the season of the clips with Dorinda and Sonia, and somebody commented. I forgot where they were in Europe. They were like, "Oh my God, we just saw this. This episode just aired last week. Where we're just getting this season now." So what I was saying is maybe over, Italy, like their franchise is just that, and they're just airing it there for them. No one else is probably seeing it, or they'll see it after. But in the States, we have everything quick, and we have the Wild Present Plus, so we're able to see all these shows all at once. But the rest of the world is not getting it as fast as we are.
If they have Wild Present Plus, they can get all of them.
Got it. But that's plus here. Do we know for a fact that if someone in let's say in Canada or in Japan has Wild Present Plus, are they getting all the shows?
Someone in Italy could get Wild Presents Plus, and they won't see Drag Race Italy because it'll air on the TV there, the actual TV. But they could see Canada, UK, US. They can see all those franchises.
Okay.
There. Okay. We can't see US here, but we can see all the other franchises.
Got it.
The same for every country.
Okay, got it. Makes sense.
Yeah. But even then, they're like filming these seasons and dishing them out within 5 months of filming, and then it's like, boom, new season. So.
Yeah, it's like they're filming them all simultaneously. It's like it's like as the episodes of Canada are airing, we get at the same time the Canada's Drag Race episodes, but it's on their network over in Canada, and then I was like, they're doing it in all the different countries, so we're getting overly saturated. They're airing, so now we got 3 franchises going at once on a streaming service. Mm-hmm. And then we got Painted with Raven coming, but that's different. That's Raven with her own show, but it's still within the whole drag thing. But yeah, it's too many. It's just, we're oversaturated with Drag Race. I think it's like, while I love what WoW is doing and the fact that this show is a global phenomenon, to me it's just like too many of the shows, but it's not pulling me in. Like out of all the shows, I like UK and I love España. Those are the only 2 that have really like caught my attention. The rest of them are just like, oh yeah.
Heard you. Yeah.
I'm getting my $4 or $5 worth, however much it is. Keep watching them in the background.
He's like, I'm already paying for it, so I'm watching it.
All right, just tune it on, put it in the background. We'll follow eventually.
You know, or
But
maybe
Jeffrey, good luck to you. I know he's got that Doogie Howser spinoff that he's on right now. So and he got that Jeffrey Bowyer-Chapman.
yes,
I forget the Hawaiian girl or whatever. They did a spinoff with a girl and she's got a Hawaiian last name. I don't know. I ain't trying to butcher her last name, but he's doing. And he got the little movie where he's the gay horror film that's on Shudder right now. So he's working.
Good for him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But Spiral, I think it's called. But moving right along, let's get into this Housewives tea. Oh my God, I forgot to mention this whole thing about the 5 reasons of why we love or why they say Dragula is a much better show. They said number 1 is gender inclusive. Number 2, it's subversive. Number 3, it's glam. Oh, well, they'll say that they're glam over at Drag Race too, but whatever. Number 4, there's drama. And these girls don't give a damn. That's the difference between them and the girls of Drag Race. And number 5, it gets philosophical, meaning when they say drag is art and art is suggestive, what we are judging you on is your drag as it relates to the competition. In comparison, Drag Race comes across as downright prescriptive. Saying beyond this, the contestants themselves often use the platform as a chance to talk about the issues that matter to them, covering topics as broad as climate change, gender identity, immigration, and more. And yeah, Drag Race does get into their little they get into their heart-to-heart talks, but to me, it's more or less about the competition and the drama. They don't really get into the meat and potatoes and showing the art of drag. And what I love about Dragula is that these girls are creating their outfits. They're not going and hitting up a designer and spending 20 grand and being in the hole, trying to give looks on stage. I like the fact that it's very Project Runway in the way of these girls are actually creating a lot of their clothes, and they hit the stage, and I'm like gooped every time I watch every week. So that's the great difference in that. But yeah, let's move right along into this Housewives stuff. So Beverly Hills ended, and we didn't get a chance to sit and give our opinions on the Beverly Hills season. And I know we've been talking collectively off camera about the Beverly Hills reunion. A lot happened. But it was all centered around the one and only Erica Girardi, aka Erica Jane, and the situation that was going on with her. A lot of people saying that she didn't come across as empathetic towards the people who her husband stole money from. She kept saying alleged, but honey, it ain't alleged. There's actual paperwork. Your whole law firm was stealing from people, and you financially benefited from it for I don't even know how many years. They've been with the man over 20-some years. Who knows how long this man been stealing people's money? And we'll find that out in court as he claims that, he's got dementia. But nevertheless, what did you all think of this overall 4-part reunion? And child, did we really need a 4-part reunion of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills?
Yes. I'm going to say I want to hear Remy's opinion before I put in my 2 cents, but the only thing I will say right now is yes, we needed it, but I felt like if we were going to do the 4-part episode, it needed more context. They were like dragging some certain stuff a little bit, where I felt like this could have been an ample opportunity to add more stuff or more questions. It needed more stuff. It did. And I felt like they had it. And something tells me it ended up on the chopping board. You know what I mean? Block. Like it's just been cut off, and there's so much that could have been added. There is.
I feel like it did need 4 parts because, again, so much happened. But you know what doesn't need 4 parts? The Housewives of Potomac reunion.
I was thinking that. I'm like, why don't you just do a 3-part and just give the 3rd part to Nikki instead of giving her the 4th part?
Very, very that, because they don't need 4 parts. They don't need 3 parts for their drama. It's not giving what Beverly Hills gave. Beverly Hills had, while it was mostly centered around Erica, towards the second half of the season, they still had a lot of issues with Sutton and Crystal. They had a whole bunch of drama.
Yes.
Everything was building up, and then afterwards it was all Erica Jane. So I felt like a good, the first part was definitely mostly about Erica. The last part was definitely about Erica. And then the second, while they were talking about other people, they still kind of alluded Erica into the situation at some point. So it's they're giving her a lot of shine for a lot of the content that you had.
Yeah.
I feel like Lisa Rinna didn't have too much camera time on this reunion. I feel like
She
neither did Dorit.
Dorit, they had no storyline.
They didn't have no storyline.
They got one
But
this season.
I also feel that Lisa Rinna also didn't get that much story time because she was already, caught in her senses. Her issue with, especially with Garcelle and what her and Garcelle were going through. As soon as you could see her attitude change a lot from the first like 25 minutes of the episode into the very last 15 of it, where as soon as, I don't know if you guys remember, when Garcelle was like, "Listen, lady, someone close to us told me that in this show we should not be talking about race, and this is not what the show is about, and how dare I do it." And you see Lisa's mind, like, she's good with deflecting and changing shit, and I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm become innocent, and she's that type of person that does things, and yes, she does apologize. I give her that. She always apologizes for her shit, but you still keep making that same mistakes, and you think the apology is always going to take care of it. If you notice, every time she attacks someone, whether it's been Lisa Vanderpump, Kim Richards, Denise, now Garcelle, it's you do the mistake, you attack hard, and then when you meet face to face at reunions, I apologize. I will own this. I got this. But you're not sincere. But I felt like she pushed back a lot as soon as she noticed red flags, red flags. It's going to be about race. I'm a white lady. I need to watch my tone now because the
It's a
fans
typical
are going
Karen
to
behavior.
wash me really quick. And it's just my opinion. I could be wrong. I just feel
No,
like
because
that is why
the
she
funny thing
shut
is,
herself
it's
down.
funny how you say that because it literally, like what as you was saying that when you made that comparison, I'm like, wait a minute, now the belt is one of like to me in so many ways, she's no different than Ramona. With the constantly saying the things and apologizing, and then you do the same thing again, and then you get to the reunion and you apologize, or you're on the show and you apologize, but you continue to do the same behavior where you attack certain people. So she's
She's
like
just
what
more
you're saying,
likable than Ramona.
that part. Um, I
Yep.
think the
Yep.
thing, because
Hmm.
she's from LA and Ramona's just very cutthroat, doesn't care because she just says what she says. But I think that the difference with Lisa is Lisa's an actress and she is likable, and I do like
Hmm.
Lisa Rinna.
I
I've
do.
liked her since she was on Days of Our Lives back in the day. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so I agree with that. Like they have similarities in how they come at people on the show, but Lisa is likable, more likable.
Yeah, Lisa is likable, but she's losing brownie points with me because she's so vicious. She attacks and she's shady. Let me give you a perfect example. Someone like Kenya Moore, she owns that she's a villain. She owns that she's a spitfire with her words, but she doesn't do anything to be shady or hurt behind someone's back. She takes the opportunity as it presents itself, and she's always putting herself like, I attack because you did this. You know what I mean? Like, oh, someone's marriage. I'm putting my 2 cents because you guys attacked me for my marriage. You called me a whore here and there. You
Mm-hmm.
understand what I'm saying? Like when you fight back and you attack and you bring receipts, that's respectable. Lisa Rinna, even though I love her for the drama, she used to be my favorite. At one point, I remember talking with Remy about this a while back. I don't know if you remember, but I was like, I love her, but it's like, especially with the whole Denise Richards issue, I'm like, oh, like it was just too spiteful, too snaky, too vindictive, and you've been doing this too many times. And that is the difference between a villainess like Lisa Rinna that makes people not like you too much, and someone
Yeah.
like a Kenya Moore who is, yeah, you're vicious, but you're likable and you're human and you know how to attack properly. And going back to the reunion, I feel like, in my opinion, that is why she shut down a lot and you almost got no more camera times. Because if you rewind back the last 3 seasons, Lisa Rinna talks a lot and she's always attacking and pinpointing and bringing other people's, she's deflecting. She just brings other people's drama into the show and she inserts herself in. This time she kept her mouth like, zip, 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 zip. I'm keeping my mouth shut. Even when I
Well,
had
because
nothing to do with
I
her.
think because the main person of attraction was Erica, and she didn't want that smoke from her because Erica is, I say she's all bark and no bite. Like she basically is someone who's very loud and very much get in your face, and they feel the wrath of her because she's very aggressive and how she comes across as very defensive. And that's kind of what irritated me when I watched this season was the fact that you spend more time kissing Erica's ass than you did like Sutton being the brave one who
Yes.
questioned the whole situation. Like, wait, some of this ain't adding up. And I think as a friend, you genuinely, like, if we're in a circle of friends, that any one of you were in a situation similar to Erica, I genuinely would want to know, like, okay, so what's going on? And you can't just say, oh, you can just pick up the phone and call me. But when I ask you a question, you about to bite my head off. So I'm like, so okay, so now you bite my head off. Now I don't feel comfortable asking you the question because I don't know what you're going to give me right now with this attitude. So
Yes.
she can't just be like, well, my life is this, but well, think about the people who are lesser than, who are off, I'm trying to find the words, like that are way off than you are financially, where you are living this lavish life in your many mansions, and you got the private planes and this and the other. These people who don't have the financial wherewithal that you have, the accessibility and all that stuff that you have financially and all this other stuff, they're way worse in a situation than you are. Like I saw the little documentary they did on Hulu, and it was just like from what I saw of basically what Tom did to these people, it's like they're all, they're in a worse situation, but you're up in here worrying about, oh, my whole life is falling apart because your credit cards are declining. Like, I mean, it just felt very superficial to me. And all she cared about was how she was looking in the eyes of the people and her not having living the lavish life that she's been accustomed to for 20 years. Because you can't tell me you was looking at Tom and thinking that you was liking him for his dick or his overall aesthetic. It had to be because you knew what he was going to give you from what he had access to. But she said she loved him, so we'll go along with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to come across as superficial, but
Yeah, feeding back on that reunion, I felt like when actually seeing it, like Andy asking all those questions, yes, 100% Andy went there. Andy went and asked the right questions that we wanted to know. I think at the end, when a lot of fans were like, okay, I'm not satisfied, I'm not happy, this was all hype. Because there's been a lot of people who I was pleased with the reunion. I thought it was good. Like I was catching like, ooh. I was just so, like I said, I was just so mad that it ended because there was so much more that needed. Like they could have. I'm not gonna lie, you're gonna roll your eyes, but they should have added 2 more parts to this reunion because there was still so much content that I needed. But he did ask the right questions, and they were good. And it was,
From what exactly? Because I felt like Erica wasn't really answering no questions.
Well, that's the thing. And I was about to say it right now. He asked the questions, and it was spicy, and it was intriguing for us to want to see. I think the reason why people may have been dissatisfied is because her response. And even another thing is, even if she couldn't answer for legal reasons, because there's certain things you have to respect the law, and you can't say nothing before you get into a lot of trouble. But it's also like when Andy was like, "It's your delivery, it's not landing," which is a poor choice of words for the incident that. One of the incidents that they were accusing
oh my God.
her thing for. It just didn't sound right for me. But I do feel that she was being one of those people who was like, I had nothing to do with it, so I don't know and I don't care. And it's like, if you humbled yourself a little bit more, and I'm not saying that you need to cry and do that whole real thing or fake it. No one's asking for that, but
the running mascara,
humility, humbleness, and take actions. Because I feel like you can say, you know what, this is terrible. This is terrible for them, and it's terrible that I'm in this predicament, and I don't know how to solve it. I don't have all the right answers, and I know it looks bad on my explaining like that. I'm pretty sure it would make you look a lot better. But what she was giving was, I don't know. This has nothing to do with me, and you guys are attacking me, and that's not going to get you far. And I think that's why people were so dissatisfied, because we didn't get the response we wanted, and that's why people are still hounding it, and that's why people are going to go and tune in next season, because they're still looking for the answer. When she's like, I hope I answered it enough for you, it's like, no, you didn't answer it enough. You really didn't. And when she was attacking all the ladies too,
we
it's like,
didn't get a real answer.
Exactly. And when she was like at the Christmas dinner and we had this argument, she's like, I answered everything I needed to, but it wasn't complete. So when she's like, when they met up again, she's like, you still asking me again? Or son, you're still asking questions? You still don't believe me? Yes, because you're only giving us bits and pieces. It's not a full story. If you sit your ass down and give me the beginning to end, then I can shut the fuck up. But you're not giving the beginning to end. You understand what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's bits and pieces and it's not completed and the story changes. People are going to ask these kind of questions. And I think not I think, well, yeah, my opinion is that's where it lacked at the reunion when it came to her.
Well, that's why they went to filming right away, because they're going to get ready to drag the situation out for as long as they can. They don't want to miss a moment, so they want to pick it up for the cameras, and boom, content for the next season already.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure
the gift drive their next season as well.
Agreed, and I'm sure the gift that keeps on giving is the fact that okay, so now we had Lisa Rinna, daughter finally got rid of Scott Disick, and then you had shout out to Lois, may she rest in peace, her mother passed away,
yes,
and then also then we have Dorit in the whole robbery situation. We'll see if people start questioning or whether or not, like what we said, I don't know if we said it on air, which is behind the scenes, but we were even saying like we don't even know whether or not if okay, so now was this an actual robbery or was this some sort of insurance scams that Dorit and PK are pulling? Because you know, word on the curb is they've been having financial issues and not paying their taxes and a whole bunch of other stuff. So, according to the blogs,
yeah,
I'd be lying if I say I didn't think that the timing was convenient that it happened when they were saying that she was about to lose her contract for the next season. I kind of find that was a little convenient. May as well have been an insurance scam as well, but I think that was also like feeling maybe if we actually have a story and have something going, we get another cycle going, we get another contract.
Yeah. I'm trying to secure another bag for the season because I'm sure that's probably. I don't think Beverly Beach is where she's making her money from. I mean, you making $45,000 wedding dresses, so who's buying that?
No, I see it and I agree in that aspect too because I mean
I think it is a reach for. I think it is for a storyline.
This is her second time that she's been robbed and whatnot. The only thing I will say is I have to believe the storyline until more proof is out because my thing is her children was involved and that's a little scary. Like I don't know what real human, you know what I mean, would put out a story that can possibly put their child in danger, her children in danger. So like that's the thing is like media, like I said, it's hard. Like I hear that this is the second time this happens. This, especially being on the show. Okay, it's like wow, it's crazy, it's dramatic. But you know, the minute you hear her and her kids, it's scary. It's almost this goes kind of back with the Kardashian thing, where you know when Kim did it, people are like, oh, is this a stunt? Is this whatever? You know what I mean? And you hear the story and you hear it in her voice, like, bitch, I almost died. This is not a for a stunt. And then it's just a matter of change of opinion. So yeah, I'm so intrigued. I mean, the sad part is it's created a storyline for her this season, but I am intrigued to know from her mouth and what they're gonna show more clips of while watching it, how the story plays out. But I do feel this is definitely an incident that really did happen. I don't think someone can make this up, especially with children. It's just not them.
Well, it's going to be the beginning of the season because they just started filming, so right away.
Yeah, so that'll probably take the forefront for a moment, and then they'll go right back into Erica and all of her shenanigans and what's going on with her. So it'll be good. We'll definitely be keeping an eye out. I'm definitely looking forward to this new season of Beverly Hills whenever it airs. So I'm probably, who knows? They'll probably drop it spring summer. I was having a charade moment. Spring summer. Okay, so speaking of Housewives, Kenya Moore, who is off for NeNe Leakes coming back to Atlanta, but we'll get into that story in a second. But I just want to talk about her Ultimate Girls Trip, where she basically said that she shut down Ramona Singer's impudent behavior while filming Peacock's Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip in Turks and Caicos over the summer, saying, in the beginning, she just seemed to be very rude. She cursed at me within 30 minutes of meeting her. And said, I'm not going to get along with someone who is just so blatantly disrespectful. Noted that she is not the girl to be disrespectful with. And also want to add, maybe she doesn't know my street cred, but she found out. Okay, that's funny. Now, there was a situation where they were first aboard, I think, on a plane, and then she had disrespected Kenya by calling her Porsha.
Yeah.
That was the first strike. Oh, wait, we had a clip of Erica Jane? Did I miss that? Well, we done moved on. Sorry. We transitioned to the next show. I'm like, what happened? So yeah, so there was a whole situation. I don't know if you guys see Ultimate Girls Trip. It's 3 episodes. It's on Peacock. She disrespected Kenya on the plane because there was a whole thing where Cynthia went in and was like, oh, well, I think because of Porsha and everything. I mean, Porsha. Kenya has been going through. Now I'm calling her damn Porsha. That Kenya's been going through. She should get the big master bedroom. And we all know Ramona's reputation. The minute they get to that house, what does she do? Whenever they go to on a trip or whatever, she's always trying to find some sneaky little way to get up in the house and hold court and stake claim to a master bedroom. And that's what the bitch did as soon as they landed in Turks and Caicos.
Can I interject for a second?
Yeah.
What is Kenya going through?
Right. I was like, wait,
what is she going through?
What is she going
Cynthia
through?
gave this whole speech like this, my best friend, this, that, and the other, and all this other stuff. She had a baby and the whole divorce and blah, 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 so on and so forth.
She had a baby and took her trip.
I love Cynthia, but every other
they were all
season,
looking at
she's
her like,
best
really,
friends
bitch?
with different girls. It's either Kenya, NeNe, or Eva, and it switches. Whoever don't piss her off is her best friend.
And she and Ramona clashed a lot in these episodes. And what I also love, and this is why I was like, you know what? I'm starting to like Teresa again. Because when I watched the episode, this was the first time she really opened up about going to jail and the thing of how the resentment she had towards Joe. With when she even mentioned like the moment she realized that she was not in love with him anymore. And I don't know, this new man she got, he creeps me out. Because he pops up a couple of times in this episode via the phone. And I think he actually made an appearance. Huh?
Fiance.
Oh, yeah, I forgot they're engaged. Yeah. And then Sherry Shepherd revealed that he tried to buy her house at one point. But or did buy the house.
No, he did. Remember. He bought the house. Okay. Yeah.
So that made me like her even more, that she opened up about the whole thing of when she resented Joe and everything, because she said it would happen like when around the time I think her mother died, and that time she could have been spending with her mother, she was in jail. So seeing her open up, and then her what was it? Melissa started bickering again over, who was wanted to be on the show, who didn't want to be on the show, and how she was harassing Andy to be on the show. It was a whole mess. But yeah, definitely check that the show out when y'all get a chance. All 3 episodes is now up on Peacock. But to get to the point of this, because I got a little Dorit of me. I got a little long-winded. What do you think about Ramona's constant toxic behavior, not just with Kenya and Kenya's accusations of some of the stuff that she was saying, and how she's very dismissive of people's feelings, but her overall demeanor throughout the entire Housewives series? Because she at one point said that she's the one that started off the whole Housewives franchise. Well, I guess fuck Vicky Gunvalson's drag, because she was the one that is the OG of the OC. So you didn't start nothing.
Gina Keo would like to have a word with you, because according to her, she was the first housewife.
Yes, Gina said it recently.
Gina is the first housewife. And then Vicky was on some, well, I have longevity and seniority since I was here for X amount of seasons and you left after like 4. So technically, I was the first housewife.
I mean,
so Ramona might want to read that book too.
Okay. I mean, that is a good point, because it's like when all the other housewives left and NeNe was the last one standing over at Atlanta, she is the original housewife at that point when all the other girls leave. So Vicky does have a point. And so yeah, what do y'all think of the whole thing where Ramona was saying a whole bunch of delusion, like Planet Ramona? We was on her planet in these 3 episodes. The delusion of this woman. What do y'all think, especially the whole thing with her and Eboni K. Williams and the racist comments of saying that this is why we shouldn't have black people on this show and all that?
I'm definitely not going to excuse her for the comment that she did to Eboni. Definitely, that's obviously unacceptable. We cannot. But shift that to the side so we can get to the point with the whole Ramona, because she's always problematic. But she's always said stuff that crosses the line with any woman.
But I don't like that excuse that we allow it because she's always done it.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Let me shift that real quick.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to get at, it's she's had this issue with every woman, and New York Housewives has always been white lady franchise, and she's disrespected and went above and beyond and did some things where you're like, yo, this lady is crazy. What I'm saying is the fact that it's taking so long for her to get into trouble. You know, there's been times where they've reprimanded NeNe. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've shown her before. She's left the show and come back. They've reprimanded Porsha. You know, she became a friend of when she, you know, had to drag Kenya for 5 seconds. Kim Richards, right? And her one of her teachers, she became a friend of when she was having too much of her drug issues. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, we're pulling all these people aside and we're punishing them. Where is her punishment? Now, what I think, in my opinion, I'm not saying that it's right. What I'm saying is why I think she's kept the longevity and why she's there is because of the caliber of New York Housewives. It's the Upper East Side ladies. And believe it or not, those are the ladies who watches it more than the youth and the gays and the ladies who wants to be part of the chismes. You understand what I'm saying? Those ladies hold power, and they probably voicing up. You lose Ramona, you're gonna lose a big percentage of these uppity ladies with the coins who live the same way and believe and have that same idea as she is. I'm not saying that sticks.
I don't know if that's true because them ladies will say otherwise.
I don't know, because think about it. All these ladies are connected in that same way. They all act the same way. And how many times before Eboni came on the show and before Leah came on the show, when Carolyn joined and Heather were joining, you know, there was always that myth like, oh, none of these ladies from the Upper East Side want to come to Midtown or the Lower East Side. None of them. It was a big no. You understand what I'm saying? Anything that was not considered posh would be too urban for them or too outdated for them. And this includes Luann, Sonia Morgan, who else was there at one point besides Bethany? Jill. And what I'm saying is this is a caliber. Like, yeah, there's I wish they would show, maybe they wouldn't be able to do it, but I wish they would show, like, you know, back in the day, the demographics of like who watched the show and what age gap and how many men and women. I'm really interested to know that sheet when it comes to the New York Housewives, because that this franchise right here in New York City, it's a little bit more different than the Atlanta, Beverly Hills, OC. So I feel like you're getting a little bit of flavors everywhere else. But like I said, obviously you have a whole bunch of people watching this show, but something tells me there's a.
They want to know who's the demographic that's actually watching the New York Housewives.
Yeah, because I feel like it's uppity people who like that has the majority for that franchise, which is probably why they keep Ramona on. I'm saying it's not an excuse, and it's not saying that it's acceptable. I feel like that's why they keep her.
They love to say that she's so kooky and entertaining, but I don't find her entertaining at the least. And I find a lot of her behavior just to be like unexcusable. Like a lot of it, like even when she, like the last season when she was calling her staff the help, I was just like, no matter how you try to sugarcoat that, that's not okay. Regardless of, it's not okay.
Yeah, she's very rude and dismissive of people, and she kind of treats people like they're beneath her. That is her overall attitude. I told you, I met the New York Housewives back when I was with the circus, and they shot that infamous episode there, and they shot it in my section, and I am in the episode. I'm going to keep promoting it because I served the ladies drinks. Tinsley's mother and all of them that were there. Ramona was there. You don't see her in the episode, maybe you do for like a second, but she came, did her little. The scene was cut, but she was walking up with one of the ladies up the ramp and walked past me, and they were filming. But I guess the scene where she was she was with Sonia. That's what she was. She was doing a scene with Sonia that they wound up not using. There was another scene that they used with Tinsley and Sonia, and they were both fucked up, and you couldn't even understand what the hell they were saying, so they cut that scene too. So there was a scene with her that she was very dismissive and kind of, that was sort of her attitude, and I was not featuring her when she was there. So I feel like just because because your rudeness is a sense of entertainment doesn't necessarily mean that we should entertain it. Because now I think that the Housewives is going through a transition right now where we are in this whole Black Lives Matter. There's a whole accountability culture that's going. I don't like cancel culture. I think cancel culture is such a stupid term to be calling stuff. It's accountability. People are being held accountable for the things that they're saying and the behaviors that you got away with when you joined a franchise 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years ago when it was okay. It is not okay in this era. And shows like The Housewives is going through this transition where they have to figure out, is it time to do a whole recast? Meaning that we need to find new friends that get along. Because when I watch The Housewives, it feels like when you watch New York, these are not like friends anymore. It feels like it's just a bunch of coworkers that are coexisting, that are there for a check and just trying to grasp at straws to keep us entertained. But there's no sense of fluidity amongst them or camaraderie. So that maybe that's why a lot of people were turned off in the last season. There was just no camaraderie with these women. Everybody was just in this feeling of this one didn't like this one. They all collectively weren't getting along in so many situations. So maybe the show needs an entire overhaul, and maybe it's time to start cleaning house and getting rid of a lot of your problematic people. Even though I find Erica entertaining, it may be time for her to go. Jen Shaw, her ass need to go. As entertaining as she is over
Jen
at
Shaw
Salt Lake
rested.
City.
You want Jen Shaw rested to leave the show?
Well, she had no choice when she got found guilty and she go to federal prison. I mean, they ain't going, but they can't get no cameras in there.
Listen, but going back to the New York thing, I listen. I agree with this. Is hence why they're not going to be back for 2022. You know what I'm saying? It's just not, and they're doing a major recast. What I'm saying is Ramona needs to be the word you said, held accountable. Like, don't cancel her. If you're not going to fire her, dismiss her forever because she brings something to the show, that's fine. But then make her a friend of. You know what I mean? Make her work for it again, like how we made Marlo work. How many years?
Or
To
Luann. They made her work.
Luann,
She was a friend at one point.
a friend at one point. But someone like Marlo, who it took her how many years to finally be a housewife? You know what I'm saying? Like, to be moved up there. Reverse that for Ramona. Let her humble herself. Maybe that's what she needs to learn. Like, oh, my behavior is not acceptable. My job is in jeopardy. Let me fucking do better. You know what I'm saying? It can be that. If you're gonna bring her back for next season, make her a friend of the show. She needs to learn something.
Yes.
Well, my new thing is I got internal bleeding, according to Jen Shaw.
Oh,
I got internal.
yeah. When I heard that, I'm like, really, bitch? Yo, man, you had to leave the bus because your husband had internal bleeding. Really?
Listen,
And I might be back.
And
right.
like to me, I'd have been hysterical. Yeah, then all of a sudden, that was insane. Now speaking of, because we were talking about while we're still on the whole Housewives bandwagon, NeNe, recently revealed when she was on an episode of The Real, I think it was like 2 weeks ago, that she wouldn't mind coming back to the Housewives of Atlanta, but she said that there's some unfinished business according to some people, who I guess was saying that. And she said, but I said what she would have to do is let's get a sit down between her and Andy Cohen, like a full hour episode of Watch What Happens Live. They hash it out. She talks about the things that she experienced dealing with, I guess, people which she accused Bravo of being racist or people behind the scenes, and how she felt betrayed by Andy in a lot of situations on his behavior, especially when part is kept. She said that she co-paid that baby shower that she had for the son, which I didn't even know. But
I think all the ones that were invited did. They were throwing the party for him. It's like a baby shower. Like, we would go to
no, but
somebody's
she
baby
said
shower.
that because she was close with him and she loves the baby and everything. And she said that she co-paid. Like, so that's making it sound like she went
paid
half
more.
and he went half. I don't think all the other housewives, them cheap bitches. I mean, look, they all collectively brought flowers to Greg's funeral. So they ain't no way in hell they was donating for some daggone baby
Listen,
shower.
flowers are expensive. I just
They
went
really are.
to the grocery earlier.
I feel like
it's like $30. But go ahead.
they can get the episode because they can get that Nick and market into an episode because they did one for Luann when she came out of jail and like they sat her down and it was just him and her in her house sitting down talking for an hour. They can get it done. And knowing Andy likes to play favoritism, but he also like does it when it's beneficial for him. So of course he's gonna get the views. Of course he's gonna get the ratings he wants off of that sit down. And then of course NeNe could come back and continue doing what she was doing. All is forgiven.
Yeah, so he basically said on his Sirius XM radio show, turning to it, Real Housewives of Atlanta, saying, "What I don't want to do is get in a public thing with her. I think she would probably prefer that I keep her name out of my mouth, and that is what I'm going to honor." So, while he'll keep her name out of his mouth, I'm sure maybe behind the scenes there's some negotiations, because you know what? As much as people want to say it, and to me, I was looking at her like, why would they even want to invite you back after all the accusations to me? Or why would you even want to go back if this job was so toxic? But at the end of the day, this is not show friends, this is show business. And if it's going to benefit you all, and he could use the ratings for Atlanta, because last season was not hitting it. And so far, when I look at the lineup of these new people, or these people that's on here, I'm not featuring it either. Like, I'm not that excited for this new season. I'll see a trailer when they drop it, but so far I'm not feeling like I'm gonna get what I need to get. Or as Roland Rage, she's not giving me what needs to be gave. So I don't think I'm gonna get that from this season. But I'll wait for a trailer and all this stuff. But I think like if NeNe does come back, the fans will be excited and they'll want to see that. But you need to find some, like we were saying before, with New York and the overhaul, or like a whole cast. Y'all need to find some interesting people to kind of put on these shows that are genuine friends, that you can basically, because that's basically what the Housewives was about. It was a bunch of people who they collectively knew each other, and you maybe had like 2 or 3 people that they didn't know. Now it's just like, oh, I gotta pretend this person's a friend of mine, and I gotta bring them in. Like, we all know Leah did not know Eboni K. Williams, but they were trying to act like they was friends. So that whole situation of them trying to find ways to ease new cast members into the show, they need to find a new way to keep the show interesting. But I'd be, even though I said before that I don't see it, I'd be here for NeNe coming back.
100%. I want NeNe back. NeNe is. I hate. Not I hate. I know the other women bring stuff. They do. But like, I'm watching back old seasons of Atlanta Housewife, and the most recent one that she just left before this one aired, the one where they did the Zoom interview where she had like but this much episodes in that season. I kind of don't watch that too much because it doesn't have NeNe that much. Every other season prior to that, I'm always watching. I'm like, yo, she is on it. I live for NeNe. I live for this lady. She's a good time. She is the Real Housewives of Atlanta. Everyone else brings in their game too, but she's like the superstar. You know what I mean? She is the all star, and everyone else is in that team.
As long as she doesn't pull her head there and come back and be like, film 2 episodes and be like, you know what, I can't deal with this bullshit, and then just walk away and not come back. Like how they did in this last season in New York.
That was a terrible hype that they gave, because they made it seem like
I was really so coming back.
No.
Yeah, she needs to sit in it and do what the whole point of these reality shows are, which is whenever there's conflict or whatever the case is, you need to really sit in it and give us what we want. And I'll be like, well, I'm not want to deal with this. I'm gonna leave. So so we have a clip in case y'all need a reminder. Back when NeNe spoke to Tamron Hall about all the drama that was going on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. So we're going to roll that clip. It's a little reminder in case y'all forgot.
Talking to former Real Housewife of Atlanta star NeNe Leakes. And NeNe, when you look back at all of the years, are there any regrets?
I don't have any regrets. You can only learn from your past mistakes. So I don't have any regrets. I wished I was smarter. I wish I was more educated when I first, entered into contracts and things like that, and I wasn't. But I don't want to say I regret.
Yeah. As we mentioned, again, you were one of the rare reality stars who then you were able to go on to Glee, which at the time was, I remember, like, that's a major coup, being able to be on the cast for Glee, Broadway. Yeah. Whatever happened there, and this is one of the things that I've learned in my career when I was let go from a job, I said, okay, the best way that I can prove anyone wrong is to work hard to win. However you define that. Sometimes winning is just getting up off the ground and not letting someone see you sweat. How do
Yes.
you pick yourself up from this, whatever has happened there? And I hope that, again, if these allegations are true, they are dealt with because it affects our industry in general. But for you, how do you pick yourself up and be the winning NeNe that you've told all your fans you are? Because I feel like
I'm
this
gonna.
weight is holding you down, and you seem to want to fly.
This is it's a moment.
Yeah.
You know, it's a moment. It's not the prettiest moment. It is a moment.
Yeah.
And I'm a strong person. I have a lot of good people around me, and I'm going to win. So I'm fine. I'm going to be okay.
How have you been in
So
touch with the other castmates? Have there, I know as again, I had a lot of up and down relationships there, but what kind of support are you getting from the castmates?
if you're speaking of my Atlanta cast,
Yeah.
I've had more than half of them to all reach out to me and send messages to me and wish me well. And if you need anything, we're here for you. So I have definitely had that.
All right, we're slithering on out.
Yeah.
Season 6. You ladies did it again. It's kind of a modified twerk.
It's something we shouldn't do after this. This is the last time we shall slither.
What is up with him and them knock knees? I cannot win because he always walks funny or something. It's like something wrong with his legs or something. Go see an
Come on,
orthopedic.
Slither.
I don't know what the hell Andy called himself doing, but whatever. So there's another story that came out of some rumors that they're looking to cancel Watch What Happens Live due to low ratings. And this is coming from a TikTok account user named The Kempire, who I believe, Lindsay, if I'm not mistaken, you sent me something from him
Yes, I have.
earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So he basically said the following, that Bravo is seriously considering ending the late night talk show because of its failing ratings. And if you follow the Bravo ratings like I do, then you know I've been reporting multiple weeks that the ratings for Watch What Happens Live suck. His statements about the cancellation remain unconfirmed. However, there is a petition on oh my God, how did I forget the name? Oh, so yeah, there's a petition out there basically. Where it was at, I don't even know how many there is. I am curious to go look at it. I know when I did it on my podcast, it was up in the I think it was almost at 1,500, and they were trying to get it to that number. Now, the description for the petition claims that Andy Cohen has been toxic, narcissistic, and rude to the Bravo shows he hosts. On the Bravo shows he hosts, saying Andy has been the face of Bravo for well over a decade. Lately, the host of the Real Housewives reunions and Watch What Happens Live is becoming toxic to watch. He displays narcissistic, pompous, and rude behavior on reunion episodes and has come under fire for allegations of favoritism, racism, and sexism. Andy Cohen needs to be replaced with someone who is fair, nice, easy to get along with, and honest. Some former stars of Bravo Network have called for the removal of Andy Cohen, and as a longtime fan, I agree with them. And some of the names that I remember hearing that they were talking about was Mario Lopez, Jeff Lewis, and Jerry O'Connell. First of all, Jeff Lewis is not a good idea. First of all, Jeff Lewis just is change.org. I don't know why I couldn't even think of the name, and I was looking dead at it. But yeah, I don't see it for Jeff Lewis because Jeff Lewis to me is just as obnoxious as Andy, which is why they're friends.
Terrible. Doesn't want to speak to people. I don't even know why he has his own show, and his show should end. No shake. It's just the way he talks to
I didn't know he had a show.
Everybody. Oh, yeah, he has a show. I don't watch it, but he has a show, and the way he be talking to his housekeepers and his employees. I mean, and my thing is, this has to be scripted because if this was a real thing, this would be a huge HR case with the way you be speaking to your staff. But going back to the topic in hand, but this rumor has been going on for years since the very first time I've ever seen Watch What Happens Live, which was like 5 years ago. Before I even see the show, I've heard this to be rumored. What's crazy is even Kathy Griffin has said it a few years ago and was like, this show keeps getting picked up and is not doing well, and he's so unprofessional. Everything that we've said about him, and on top of that, offers drugs to his guest that shows on and is at times rude and very cut short with it. So my thing is like, how new is this? At this point, we need to know: is it going to be canceled at the end of the year, or is it still going to run? Because I feel like if it's still going to run, we're going to hear this rumor pop up again next year.
Well, yeah, I've heard the rumors that he is no, he's a fan of the old booger sugar, but but yeah, so to me, I was like, okay, so if they were to cancel the show tomorrow, I don't care. Like, there's every now and again, depending on who the guest is, like, okay, the last time I did watch the episode was when he had Kiki Palmer and Karama on, because that was an actually funny episode, and Kiki's entertaining. But overall, I really don't watch What Happens Live, and I did watch the episode where he had Nutmeg McCain, formerly of The View, because she was promoting that book, Horrible Republican, um, which she is. Um, so I did watch it for that because I knew it would be entertaining and those were going to be viral moments. So I wanted to see what she had to say, especially about the ladies of The View. But other than that, I don't really watch his show. I could care less about his thoughts about the Housewives. I'll tolerate him because of the reunions, because he's there. I can't get rid of him. But yeah, his tone and the way he comes across is very groupie-esque, pompous, obnoxious, annoying, loud, a typical sassy queen. But yeah, I just I don't feature Andy. He's not my favorite person. Y'all keep trying to trot him out here, and I get maybe he's trying to do damage control because of the new book that came out. And he's got a book that came out, the book that Remy's currently reading. He's been talking about that. And trying to do control because of all the Housewives drama that's been coming out, specifically with Erica Jane and then Jen Shaw and someone, and then of course got to promote Nicki Minaj being on Potomac. So there's a lot of stuff that he's trying to do to save face because why this is kept. First of all, the ratings have been in the shitter for years, like you were saying. Like I don't understand. So who actually does he have a cult following? Like I guess he's got a small group of people that love watching the show, but is it enough for Bravo to keep the show around?
Yeah.
Because who's watching it? Like people aren't really watching Watch What Happens Live. I mean, maybe they should just throw it up on YouTube. They post the clips up on YouTube anyway. It's kind of like with Wendy Williams. Her show is on YouTube as well as on a network. So maybe they could just put it on the internet.
Yeah.
We don't have to count the numbers.
Yeah. I think Andy Cohen as a producer, good. I think him hosting the reunions, good. Him hosting his own show, no. And sometimes it's transparent. I'm pretty sure you guys see when you see clips of him interviewing certain people. There's times where you see him getting very like he's like a little shady or rude to the guys. You know what I mean? Or at times he's like cutting them off when they're speaking. Like, okay, yeah. So I was like, ooh, like not friendly, and especially the Watch What Happens live show when it doesn't have a celebrity guest. 80% of it is usually the Housewives franchise. So just convert the Watch What Happens lives like the Housewives after show and just really make it the full-blown interviews with the Housewives alone or fanatics of the show, and they interview the Housewives and then just finish off Andy Cohen. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I don't know if he'll go out like that because Andy has an ego. So, there's a lot of these people who, that this is what they know. And you trying to kick them out, kick them to the curb. I don't know if he'll want to go out like that. But my thing is, look, everything that has a beginning has an end. It's like we were talking about Wendy in the previous show about Wendy Williams, and everything has a good run. Like Donahue had his run. You had Jay Leno had a run. Letterman had a run. All these talk show personalities. Oprah had her run. She left after 25 years. Like everybody, but she's still doing things in other ways. So everybody has their run. Just like go off and do something else. He has Radio Andy, so he'll be fine. Like he can still write books. He can raise his son. He can do, keep having brunch with SJP. Like there's so many things you could be out here doing. Watch What Happens Live, okay, so it's not around anymore, but you can find something else. But I don't know. Hopefully, I don't see them canceling it, but we'll see. But yeah, but overall with this whole Andy Cohen situation, I should ask really quickly, what do y'all think about these names, Mario Lopez and Jerry O'Connell? We're not even going to add Jeff Lewis up in there.
No.
I get that Jerry is a super fan, but he's over at
who could do it?
And that's what Michael Rappaport.
The one true housewife fanatic, Michael Rappaport. There you go. Boom.
That would actually work. I would watch that before I would watch the other two. And Mario Lopez, he's so corny to me. Let him stay over at Saved by the Bell with them fillers. But So,
Listen, I can't get into Mario Lopez. There's something about him that he always
he's so
seems like
corny
he
to
genuinely
me.
wants to be sweet and stuff, but I feel like it's
He not like
not
that behind the
genuine.
scenes.
Yeah.
He could continue doing E, Hollywood, whatever he does on E. Just stay there.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
another Teddy, right?
Oh.
Another Teddy.
So to wrap up this whole, oh yeah, and I forgot it. He had the issue with what was it, Candace? Over at she's talking about like the toxic relationship between. Well, she said Andy was toxic. So I
I
remember I
haven't gotten
talked
to that
about.
chapter yet, but she does talk about it in the book. I know that for a fact.
Well, damn, I definitely read this book.
She said she done
So
cussed
if you
him
could,
out.
oh, and I'm sure it was well deserved. So yeah. So my thing is, if you can't do like what Rue does and separate business from friendship or whatever the case is, then you shouldn't be a part of the show. And I've seen it time and time again that Indy has been very biased when it comes to certain housewives. Like he kisses the ground certain women walk on, like when it comes to Bethany, when it comes to LVP, when it comes to exactly, you throw them a bone, and you're very different when it comes to certain women versus when it comes to other girls. So it's like, oh, the ones you only feature the ones who are bringing you the ratings or who is actually giving you your viral moments. And to me, that's just fake.
Well, that's why Phaedra said she wasn't gonna come back too. She's like, she's over it. Her kids are grown. Like she doesn't want to deal with the negativity that the show has to deal with and everything that goes on with that. So if it's such a toxic situation, I'm glad that someone like Phaedra can recognize that she doesn't need to go back into that.
And that was a great transition because I was going to read her quote that she did in the interview. She says, I've evolved, and so I love that the fans want me back when my children are at an age. The Housewives is an awesome platform, but it comes with its issues. And so to be a great parent and to be a responsible parent, I think that would not be a responsible decision. So she said, people ask me every year I'm approached at some part of the year, but it's just not something I want to do. I did it for 8 years of my life. Both of my kids are born on live TV. It's a lot. Damn, I didn't realize she was on there for 8 years. Time really flies.
Yeah. But she needs to come back.
Well, she's not. She's coming back to season.
No,
She'll be on season 2 of Ultimate Girls Trip where they go out to the Berkshires. So,
but you know what? The door is still open for her. She can. I'd rather. You know what it is? I'd rather it be her saying no than the other way around, where she'd be like, I kind of want to come back to the show, but they're like, yeah, we're not interested. Yeah. So I'd rather it be this way. But she brought up some good points. But it also comes back with knowing your roots, because I know she started off with the Whitney and Bobby show, and she was a lawyer for them, attorney or whatever. But I mean, her notoriety is from the Housewives, just like the NeNe. You know what I'm saying? Like she I don't know, but this from a selfish fan. I would love for her to come back. And listen, at the end of the day, I agree with her. I understand what she's saying about her kids and the responsibility she carries. But at the end of the day, she also gets to, do her own narrative and gets to show what she wants to show. Because the worst thing that can happen is you do a season like Kim Zolciak when she came in for a season a few years ago and she got ripped to shred at the reunion, never came back. And she said, I would never do the show back. She could do that too. The worst they can do is, okay, Phaedra, you either didn't give us enough or you wasn't bringing that energy that we know you to be. So next season, you're clipped. So why not do it? Why not do it to make, I guess, the fans happy? You're going to be making coins. You're going to have that celebrity status still.
Well, it's probably because, the fame and the money and all the other stuff, all money ain't good money. But then again, she did do marriage boot camp.
Yes.
Delish priorities. So I guess it's yeah, and then I'm just going by what she said. She said she wants to set a prime example for her kids. They're at that age where it's like, okay, so they go to school and they're gonna get teased because their mother's acting a whole fool on a reality show, and her and Kenya is like, okay, now this woman about to take me, I'm about to smack the life out of her, like which has almost happened a few times. So I guess I can see where she's coming from, but I do agree with you that from a selfish feedback, we'll see how she does when she's on Ultimate Girls Trip. That'll be the test of the water on her behavior, and then maybe it'll open up the Pandora's box or open the door for her to want to actually entertain the idea. Well, you know what? I said this then, but now that, this is all trending with Ultimate Girls Trip Season 2, I can go and do Atlanta Housewives.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you want to see more of Phaedra, I think she's on that BET streaming service. She's doing movies there. So feel free. Eva's on there too if you want to kick up more Eva on
$9.99 a month.
There you go.
Now, on that note, we'll close out the show. We have come to the end of episode 2 of Drinks and Drag. I hope you enjoyed all the topics that we discussed, all of our reality TV roundup, basically. And yeah, so once again, I want to thank myself as well as my fellow panelists, Remy and the one and only Lindsay Aguilera. You can follow us on all of our little Instagram handles as you see as it's popping up. And yes, click like, subscribe for this episode. Also follow the Drinks and Drag show Instagram page, which launched a couple of days ago, where we're going to be posting a lot of content and stuff over there. So definitely go over there and add that. We'll get that as part of, I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but we can add that into future episodes. Just popped in my head. Things happen. Is what it is. So yeah, follow that Drinks and Drag show over at Instagram as well as our Instagram handles. And once again, I love you all for watching. And until next time, ciao, darlings.
Bye.
I can't see mine.
These aren't spirit fingers.
It's good. Life is turning in a positive direction. It feels so good to have the season over and just be on a much lighter path.
Every guy wants to know what's going on.
Slide in my DMs and find out.
So hot tip, slide in the DM.
I've said that too, yeah.
I love
and they're good.